I'll mention just a few of those historical realities. First of all, the Rambam himself mentioned that one of those historical, maybe the central historical reality, that the Jewish people became, once again, for the first time in 4 centuries, they became an independent, sovereign nation in their own land. This was a tremendous and unheard of reality. The Jewish people, in fact, hadn't really planned for it. It almost reminds us of Milchemet Sheshet Hayamim, the 6-Day War. Israel was in a particular situation. It was forced into war. It was forced to attack, a preemptive attack. It wasn't a war that was fought, as we all know, unfortunately. The 6-Day War was not fought with the intention of conquering Har HaBayit, Yerushalayim, Yudah, and Shomron, Shechem, Hebron, Beth El, Bethlehem, etc., etc. That wasn't the intention. It just happened. Then the Israeli government, which was completely unprepared for this, had not planned, had not really wanted it either, had to scratch its head and begin to ask itself the question, well, what do we do with all of this now? And really, this is the question that has been animating most political debate in Israel for the last, 53 years? Perhaps this almost obsessive focus on that question is now, so it seems, becoming more and more, less and less relevant. And this also, I think, is having an impact on Israeli politics as we speak, quite literally as we speak. New parties are beginning to form in these very days of Hanukkah, in advance of what is almost certainly going to be an election in the next few months. And part of the reason for these various realignments and new configurations within Israeli society, Israeli politics, is because the old, hackneyed, worn-out leftist rant about a Palestinian state and 2 states for 2 peoples and land for peace, all these slogans and all these ideas, more and more people in Israel and across the world, around the world, understand that this is all basically irrelevant and meaningless and will come to nothing. In the very, so that was just an aside with regards to the 6-Day War and the current situation in Israeli politics and Israeli society. But the very same thing, I think, happened at the time of Yehuda Maccabi. The Jews rose up in revolt because they were sick and tired of being oppressed and being offered that choice that I described before, to live as a goy or die as a Jew. They decided to try and live as a Jew. Did they plan to become a sovereign Jewish entity in Eretz Yisrael for the first time in 4 centuries? I'm willing to guarantee you they had never thought about it. It just happened. All of a sudden, they were so successful for a time that all of a sudden they found themselves in charge of the country. They never made any plans for it, but that's what happened. So they tried to make the best of that new situation, which they did up to a point until things began to unravel, as we know historically, but that's another long discussion. So sometimes history, strange things happen in the course of history. Many things that were not planned for come about. It's obviously better for the Jewish people to plan and to have a vision for its future and to plan for that future and to initiate events rather than always respond and always be on the defensive. And maybe that's also why Malchut Beth Hashmonai, although it was a great event and a great achievement, maybe that's also why it didn't last, because it really wasn't the result of a great vision and long-term planning and thought, and it was too haphazard. I hope, Bezrat Hashem, that the same will not be said, Chas v'Shalom, about our current sovereign, independent existence in our fatherland.
Thank you, Rabbi Bar-Hayim. We would like to encourage our viewers to share these videos with friends and send in your responses. We would also like to suggest the following opportunity to our viewers. If you identify with Rabbi Bar-Hayim's message, and would like to sponsor or dedicate a video interview with the rabbi in honor or memory of a loved one. If you would like to obtain Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael or invite the rabbi for a speaking engagement, please email us at office@machonshilo.org.